Chapter 5, We Help Ourselves, Not the World, Part 2. Yet we must do good. The desire to do good is the highest motive power we have. If we know all the time that it is a privilege to help others. Do not stand on a high pedestal and take 5 cents in your hand and say, "Here, my poor man." But be grateful that the poor man is there, so that by making a gift to him, you are able to help yourself. It is not the receiver that is blessed, but it is the giver. Be thankful that you are allowed to exercise your power of benevolence and mercy in the world and thus become pure and perfect. All good acts tend to make us pure and perfect. What can we do at best? Build a hospital, make roads, or erect charity asylums. We may organize a charity and collect 2 or 3 millions of dollars, build a hospital with 1 million, with the second give balls and drinks champagne, and of the third let the officers steal half and leave the rest finally to reach the poor. But what are all these? One mighty wind in 5 minutes can break all your buildings up. What shall we do then? One volcanic eruption may sweep away all our roads and hospitals and cities and buildings. Let us give up all this foolish talk of doing good to the world. It is not waiting for your help or my help. Yet we must work and constantly do good because it is a blessing to ourselves. That is the only way we can become perfect. No beggar whom we have helped has ever owed a single cent to us. We owe everything to him because he has allowed us to exercise our charity on him. It is entirely wrong to think that we have done or can do good to the world, or to think that we have helped such and such people. It is a foolish thought, and all foolish thoughts bring misery. We think that we have helped some man and expect him to thank us, and because he does not, unhappiness comes to us. Why should we expect anything in return for what we do? Be grateful to the man you help. Think of him as God. Is it not a privilege to be allowed to worship God by helping our fellow men? If we were really unattached, we should escape all this pain of vain expectation and could cheerfully do good work in the world. Never will unhappiness or misery come through work done without attachment. The world will go on with its happiness and misery through eternity. There was a poor man who wanted some money, and somehow he had heard that if he could get hold of a ghost, he might command him to bring money or anything else he liked, so he was very anxious to get hold of a ghost. He went about searching for a man who would give him a ghost, and at last he found a sage with great powers and besought his help. The sage asked him what he would do with the ghost. "I want a ghost to work for me. Teach me how to get hold of one, sir. I desire it very much," replied the man. But the sage said, "Don't disturb yourself. Go home." The next day the man went again to the sage and began to weep and pray. "Give me a ghost. I must have a ghost, sir, to help me." At last the sage was disgusted and said, "Take this charm, repeat this magic word, and a ghost will come. And whatever you say to him, he will do. But beware, they are terrible things and must be kept continuously busy. If you fail to give him work, he will take your life." The man replied, "That is easy. I can give him work for all his life." He then went to a forest, and after long repetition of the magic word, a huge ghost appeared before him and said, "I am a ghost. I have been conquered by your magic, but you must keep me constantly employed. The moment you fail to give me work, I will kill you." The man said, "Build me a palace," and the ghost said, "It is done. The palace is built." "Bring me money," said the man. "Here is your money," said the ghost. "Cut this forest down and build a city in its place." "That is done," said the ghost. "Anything more?" Now the man began to be frightened and thought that he could give him nothing more to do. He did everything in a trice. The ghost said, "Give me something to do or I will eat you up." The poor man could find no further occupation for him and was frightened. So he ran and and at last reached the sage and said, "Oh, sir, protect my life." The sage asked him what the matter was, and the man replied, "I have nothing to give to the ghost to do. Everything I tell him to do, he does it in a moment, and he threatens to eat me up if I do not give him work. Just then the ghost arrived, saying, I'll eat you up, and he would have swallowed the man. The man began to shake and begged the sage to save his life. The sage said, I will find you a way out. Look at that dog with a curly tail. Draw your sword quickly and cut the tail off and give it to the ghost to straighten out. The man cut off the dog's tail and gave it to the ghost, saying, Straighten that out for me. The ghost took it and slowly and carefully straightened it out, but as soon as he let it go, it instantly curled up back. Once again he laboriously straightened it out, only to find it again curled up as soon as he attempted to let go of it. Again he patiently straightened it out, but as soon as he let it go, he curled up again. So he went on for days and days until he was exhausted and said, I was never in such trouble before in my life. I am an old veteran ghost, but never before was I in such trouble. I will make a compromise with you, he said to the man. You let me off, and I will let you keep all that I have given you and will promise not to harm you. The man was much pleased and accepted the offer gladly. This world is like a dog's curly tail, and the people have been striving to straighten it out for hundreds of years. But when they let it go, it has curled up again. How could it be otherwise? One must first know how to work without attachment, then one will not be fanatic. When we know that this world is like a dog's curly tail and will never get straightened, we shall not become fanatics. If there is no fanaticism in the world, it would make much more progress than it does now. It is a mistake to think that fanaticism can make for the progress of mankind. On the contrary, it is a retarding element, creating hatred and anger, and causing people to fight each other and making them unsympathetic. We think that whatever we do or possess is the best in the world, and what we do not do or possess is of no value. So always remember the instance of the curly tail of the dog whenever you have a tendency to become a fanatic. You need not worry or make yourself sleepless about the world. It will go on without you. When you have avoided fanaticism, then alone will you work well. It is the level headed man, the calm man of good judgment and cool nerves, of great sympathy and love, who does good work and so does good to himself. The fanatic is foolish and has no sympathy. He can never straighten the world nor himself become pure and perfect. To recapitulate the chief points in today's lecture, first, we have to bear in mind that we are all debtors to the world and the world does not owe us anything. It is a great privilege for all of us to be allowed to do anything for the world. In helping the world, we really help ourselves. The second point is that there is a God in the universe. It is not true that this God is this universe is drifting and stands in need of help from you and me. God is ever present therein. He is undying and eternally active and infinitely watchful. When the whole universe sleeps, he sleeps not. He is working incessantly. All the changes and manifestations of the world are his. Thirdly, we ought not to hate anyone. This world will always continue to be a mixture of good and evil. Our duty is to sympathize with the weak and to love even the wrongdoer. The world is a grand moral gymnasium wherein we have all to take exercise so as to become stronger and stronger spiritually. Fourthly, we ought not to be fanatics of any kind because fanaticism is opposed to love. You hear fanatics glibly saying, I do not hate the sinner, I hate the sin. But I am prepared to go any distance to see the face of that man who can really make a distinction between the sin and the sinner. It is easy to say so. If we can distinguish between equality and substance, we may become perfect men. It is not easy to do this, and further, the calmer we are and the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we love, and the better will our work be.